Hello everyone, this is Albert. I'll be continuing now with my analysis of Dhorpatan's metalogical argument for the non-existence of all things supernatural. Here I'm going to move right on to the argument itself, so now let's look at it. Important thing, of course, in any proof is to define your terms and be clear and explicit as possible to avoid any misunderstandings, an area where this one fails pretty miserably. Now, in the first two premises, as he calls them, essentially there's some things that need to be shored up, but there are points that just need to be clarified since he hasn't really produced, as I said, any formal argument. It's everything is left a little bit vague, but and you're not quite sure exactly how he means something. Premise 3, it gets very, very muddled, and 4 and 5 the wheels fall off, and we'll get to that as we move in. But first, premise 1, that which is supernatural is by definition outside of or beyond the natural realm. First of all, Dhorpatan's left the term natural realm undefined. I can only assume here that he's referring to our space-time realm, since that would be consistent with his past views. This assumption does seem justified, since otherwise you really couldn't assert much in the way of laws of nature. Thus, as mentioned, alternate membranes, for example, in M-theory would suddenly become supernatural. His understanding of the term beyond also needs some clarification. Now, does he mean by beyond the natural realm outside of, in terms of location, which would not be an issue? There wouldn't be no dispute here. Or does he mean to have no effect, that basically it's beyond the natural realm in the sense of having no effect? That, of course, would be highly disputed. At this point, I'm just going to kind of let that one ride, since the remainder, once you start getting to premises 3 through 5, it really doesn't play a major role, but I just want to point out that there is some sloppiness here. Premise 2, he says the natural realm obeys the laws of nature. This also is not necessarily an issue, because it certainly would obey the laws of nature. However, taken literally, I said, of course, it wouldn't be an issue, but one suspects that maybe he means it only obeys the laws of nature, which is an entirely different matter, where there would again be dispute, and he would rather be assuming his conclusion. Again, it's such a minor thing at this point, and it has no bearing on where the wheels fall off, that it's not really that important, so I'm not going to make an issue of it. Now we get to premise 3. The laws of nature cohere to the laws of logic. Here it gets very muddled due to his use of the word cohere, that is at best, well, clumsy. First I thought he actually meant to say adhere, which would of course have the additional advantage of being in fact true. That is, laws of nature must adhere to the laws of logic, since they cannot violate them without making the entire system logically inconsistent. In terms of cohere, you would normally not say one thing coheres to another. You would say things cohere with each other, such as the classic definition, grains of rice would cohere, or you can say some external force would make things cohere, but the usage here is a bit confused. Also, the way he intends it maybe seems to be a bit confused. Given the normal definition, it would be reasonable to assume he meant that the laws of logic and the laws of nature within the system come together to basically form the laws of the system. This system, of course, being our space-time realm, but what he fails to realize is that it would not apply to anything else, namely that, and judging by what will come later, he seems to have that in mind, namely that the laws of nature would somehow become laws of logic, and that, of course, would be completely absurd, but that will wait until premise 5. Now, premise 4. Supernatural entities and events are inherent violations of the laws of nature. At this point, this premise proves that Dhorpatan knows nothing about metalogic. For something to be a violation of the rules of the theory, it must in fact be part of the theory. Since Dhorpatan has the theory limited to our space-time realm, since that's where the laws of nature actually apply, he's limited the scope of the system to objects in that particular universe of discourse, namely natural objects. Hence, statements on objects outside the theory can't be considered, since the quantifiers don't range over those objects. In other words, supernatural objects would, or even objects outside our space-time realm, whether they be supernatural or not, would not violate our laws of nature because our laws of nature don't necessarily apply to them. To violate it, you must be within nature, and as he defines it, which would be within our space-time realm, so it really is irrelevant. To give it's an analogous example, if you consider the rational numbers, which is a closed field over multiplication and addition, the two major operators, you could say there does not exist an x such that x times x equals 2, or x squared equals 2. That would be a true statement within the rational numbers. The fact that you can embed the rational numbers within the larger structure of the real numbers, and that there is a solution with the irrational number, the square root of 2, does not violate the fact that the law over the rational numbers, that there is no solution to x squared equals 2. It simply doesn't apply there because the square root of 2 is not a rational number and hence is not covered by that theory. Similarly, supernatural entities and events do not violate laws of nature, since the laws of nature do not apply to them. By the way, Dhorpatan's claims would make other membranes of M theory violate the laws of nature as well, which makes you wonder that if M theory is true, are there other membranes with their own Dhorpatan saying our potential existence would violate their laws of nature? I don't know. Now, let's see what Dhorpatan is famous for and why he's in fact made the Urban Dictionary. Premise 5. That which violates the laws of nature necessarily violates the laws of logic. Here we've got the big fail. This is what I was referring to earlier in his confused understanding of cohere. The laws of logic and the laws of nature come together in the theory in question, namely a theory which describes nature. But violations of the laws of nature are not violations of the laws of logic. The laws of logic are laws that are true in all theories, in all logical theories. The laws of nature only apply in this particular one. Here we demonstrate a failure to comprehend the most basic concepts of metalogic. The rules of the theory are confined to the domain of the theory and can say nothing about anything outside the theory, or even about the theory's place within a larger theory. At this point, premise 6 is of course irrelevant, since no laws of logic were ever violated, and of course the final conclusion is invalid. What I have seen in Dhorpatan's proofs are the same repeated mistakes of qualifying over objects outside the universe of discourse and confusing laws of a particular formal theory with laws of logic that apply to all formal theories. He usually does this by sloppily constructed and rather convoluted sentences that could leave you not sure what he means, only to find out later he has no idea what he means either. The classic example of the latter mistake is his use of the word universe. Look in any number of dictionaries, and like many words, you'll find multiple definitions. It can mean our space-time realm. It can mean everything that exists. It can mean a universe of discourse. It all depends on the context. The problem is that Dhorpatan ends up changing his definition in the middle of his proofs. There's a frequent pattern of assuming the universe is the totality of existence in one part of the proof, and then assuming it is our space-time realm in another part of the proof, and then concluding God could not be in the totality of existence because he's not in the space-time realm. You cannot use two definitions of the same word interchangeably, and certainly not in the same proof. In summary, this proof, like all of Dhorpatan's many attempts, is a big fail. Thank you very much for your time.